So let me start by saying a warm welcome to all of you to this seminar on Horizon Europe, and with a focus on opportunities in AI-related research for funding and collaborations within this program. My name is Kolben Tunström. I'm a coordinator in Chalmers AI Research Centre. I'm just going to have a brief introduction here before I leave the word to Magnus. First, I'm glad to see so many participants here today. We have both representatives from Chalmers, we have industry collaborators, and I also see that we have many external people visiting us today, and I think that's it's really good to see this spread, and I hope that's also an indication that many wants to collaborate with the Chalmers researchers on AI projects. So just a few words on why we arranged this seminar. So Chalmers AI Research Centre, for short, CHAIR, we want to stimulate collaborations among researchers at Chalmers and also externally. And the European Framework Program, Horizon Europe, is one of those important platforms for doing this. But we also know that it might be a challenge for individual researchers to orient yourselves in this funding landscape. And therefore we have invited the IMCG to give this seminar and also work together with us in supporting researchers to build successful collaborations. And IMCG has extensive experience in doing this, and we feel confident that this will be a good collaboration with them, and we hope this will also give you some leads to go for. Magnus Andersson from IMCG will be guiding you today. He will provide you with an introduction to the program, also show you how CHAIR can support Chalmers researchers, and then also go into more details and show some specific example of relevant calls. Kasper Moth-Paulsen, who has done his own EU journey, will also present some of his own experience here, and he has also worked with the IMCG, so he can relate to that. And finally, I want to say that since we're running this as a webinar, you should follow along in the chat for some information that will be put down there. For example, I think, and I should say that we have Malin Westmark also from IMCG, but that works together with CHAIR as a communicator. She will share things there, for example, how to discuss on Twitter and relevant information on how to follow up on this and so on. So please keep an eye on the chat. There will also be possibilities to go and ask questions in the chat, and Magnus will try to do some kind of experiments on getting answers in there in the right way, and also maybe have you showing videos and raising hands and everything. So please be open for experimenting a little bit on how we running this webinar. And I think that's mostly what I had to say here. I give the word to you now, Magnus. So yeah. Warmly welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, so this is slightly different with this many people online. We'll do our best, and of course I'll trust that you will be engaged in the different kind of voting and in comment and chats. Malin will help you out. We'll do some trials regarding that. Okay, so today in front of you, you can see the agenda for today. So thank you, Kolbjörn, for the welcome and the presentation of the speakers. We will have today we'll talk about when Horizon Europe could be relevant. We'll give some introduction to the research program, and also then a different way of engaging into what kind of ways to engage in Horizon Europe projects. And then we'll take some time and talk about the share support, the possible share support. But of course, the most important thing is not having consultants like me talk. It's more to have the experience from your peers. So Professor Kasper Moth-Paulsen has joined, and he will talk more about his experience later on. And then there's a very good thing with the AI area. It is that it's integrated in all different work programs in Horizon Europe. But that's also a challenge because there are so many calls. So we will try to get into the structure of the different calls and have some examples and look through them and see what we could find out. It will be relevant for some of you, but not relevant for all of you, but it will sort of give a understanding anyway. Yeah. And then we will have a dialogue later on regarding how to proceed and next steps. And then Kolbjörn, you will thank thank the participants for the end of meeting, and then we'll see how to continue. So that's today's day. It's about 2 hours. We will have a break in about an hour. So I hope you're well prepared with coffee and water. Okay. So just short, Kolbjörn has presented himself. He's in the right corner here. You have your Kasper, which will be here later on talking, and additionally to us talking is Amarina. She will support. She work with intelligence regarding Horizon Europe, and myself. So who am I? I've been working with EU projects for the last for the last 25 years actually, and I will give you some indication about that journey. Let's see if it's how it has evolved and what we can expect from Horizon Europe. This time, talking to you regarding AI, I have a quite large, long practical experience in that area. I've been running AI project, but they were called something else then. There were machine learning, there were neural nets, there were big multivariate data analysis and so forth. So the area which we're talking where you have your activities is not new to me. So that's really exciting. All right. So first, a small quiz. So let's see. I want you all to let's try this one. Please put on your cameras and raise your hands because we will see how many people will be left after this quiz. I just want to see what your experience of EU is. All right. Molly, you two, you need to raise your hand, even if you're in the team. All right. So here's the first questions to you to see where you are. Who of you, just to see where you are regarding Horizon Europe, who of you have all the necessary knowledge and experience to perform the development you desire at your office and at your research department? Anybody still there? Anybody raising their hands? Okay. Yeah, still somebody. Thank you. Have so much experience so you think EU projects are easy to manage? No? Yes, thank you. At least some left, especially the administration and financial matters. Yes. Marika, I see you. Good, good. Have mainly positive experience of being part of EU projects. Great. I see grants office is really working. And think experience that EU is close to you where you are in your research. It's like, yeah. Good. So we have some out of 100 speakers, around 100 participants, we have about 1 or 2 people thinking this is the case. The sad thing with this is, of course, that this should be the case. However, I mean, EU has evolved, and so have you. So if we look into it, artificial intelligence and Horizon Europe, that's a love story. It's true. So why is it true? Why do we hope that everybody raise your hands after the Horizon Europe? Is that, I mean, you have partly the same objective. Your research or your industrial development has the same ambition as EU has for the moment. So, I mean, improve European qualities lives, do research and innovation which accelerate the digital transformation, for our planet needs, but also for our competitiveness. So I think you all could sign in on this. So some story in the background is that EU really like to try to engage with you, and they do a lot of different instruments and possibilities to get you on board. We will talk about some of them today. However, talking to you is a very fun way. I've been representing Sweden a couple of times, and talking to EU, they usually see themselves as the sun, and Sweden should see themselves as a planet or maybe a moon around some of the solar planets in the system. So that's sort of, they want us to join, but we should understand our place sort of in the system. So that's a short story about that they really want you to take part in a way, and this is a part of this journey. So the next thing we should do, we will do one more fun stuff before getting to all the different slides. I want you to get into Slido with your cell phones, and I will do is I will present the slide for you. Could you log in with the Slido? All right. There we go. So see if you can. So if you just look at your screen now and use the QR code there with your camera, I want you to present what kind of experience you have in the frame programs. Have you been coordinators? Have you been work package leaders? Have you been partners? So let's just take a couple of half a minute to see who you are and what your experience is. So either way, you just use your phone and open your QR code, or you just jump by Slido. No previous experience, no experience. Yes, experience. Has anybody? Oh, partner work package lead. Great. We have somebody in Horizon Europe. Perfect. Applicant reviewer. That's very good. We have some coordinators. No previous experience. Okay. Nope. So a couple of more. So with this, yeah. So we have a couple of coordinators. We have some work package leaders, but a majority of you, this is new. Okay, good. So thank you very much for this answer. None. Yeah, okay, none. Good. All right. So with this said, thank you very much for this. So with this, now when I see your experience, you have all the way from no experience to little experience, and then all the way to being a reviewer and coordinator. So you have the full span here. So it's fantastic. So for some of you, some of this time will be very basic, and for some of you will be an introduction into Horizon Europe. All right, so thank you very much for those answers. So I just want to say, when a lot of time when we run projects, or why we do Horizon frame program projects, and we ask our partners why are they in the project, they usually, a lot of them say, yeah, we need funding. For me, it's kind of important for you to understand, for this, all you out there today, I would say one thing, of course, the funding is great, but being part of Horizon Europe projects and other collaborative projects is so much more. What we usually like is that you should also see that it's a possibility to enhance your capacity. You collaborate with like-minded peers, you find yourself in a full value chain, which is very interesting, and gives your research a push in the right direction, or your development in a push direction. even if you are an expert, always in EU projects, there's always excellence research and experts. So you have additional experts by your side trying to sort out the puzzle in your project. So this is a very great benefit, I think. It's also one of the simplest way of taking a lead in a research area and take a position. So if you have that as an ambition, EU projects could be quite good. So coordinating some projects and being partnering in some projects in your area put you quickly in a position to sort of support in maybe policies and regulations in your area. So it's quite quickly. You can do this just in some years. For some of our partners, they say it's important to be an attractive employer. I don't know what I would like to say here. Configure with competence and experience. That's something I wrote in the middle of the night, and so on. So there's a lot of more than just the large funding. So I think it's important that you bring that with you. Yeah. So of course, big funding, but more you can have your objectives fulfilled, being a partner or a coordinator in those projects. All right. So now after we tried to have an inspirational talk why it's more important than just the money being a part of the EU projects, I would like to present Horizon Europe and I mean the structure of it. So, but before that, I would like to give you, since I've been here for 25 years in my professional life, I would like to talk to you slightly what has happened. And this is a very subjective, this is from my point of view. This is probably not general for everybody, but I think it can maybe give you some understanding of it. I started coordinating projects in FP4. Then I've been coordinating projects all the way down to FP8. So an FP8 is Horizon Europe, FP4 was in the 90s, FP5 90s and the beginning of 2000s and so forth. And now we're in Horizon Europe. So what has happened? So what we see from the beginning, being a researcher in FP4 was a lot of fun. Now it's not that easy anymore. You still need to have excellent research, but you still need to present that you can utilize your results if you're successful. So you need to present that you can drive impact. So that's a major difference. From the beginning, it was enough that there were some great institutes and some academia. That was enough for us to win and coordinate projects. Now you need to have the full value chain, both from society, maybe from people handling policies and regulations, to industry, whatever that's relevant for your area. In the beginning, when we worked, we had to sort of engage with all of Europe in all directions, depending. Now it's more and more that you need to just have relevant and you need to have the relevant partners to sort out and handle your project. In the beginning in FP4, I would say the proposals were extremely complex. FP5 was very complex. Now they're quite easy to write and deliver compared to the early ones. So whatever you think when you look into those proposals in the future, you can say, if you think they're complex, you say, yes, but it's still easier than earlier in a way. Maybe they're too easy to write. Now, for instance, in Frame Program 1.9, Horizon Europe, for instance, in your main proposal, you only have 45 pages to write. In Horizon 2020, you were allowed 70 pages. And that decrease of size maybe your details, maybe you will lack some of the details in your application. So maybe it will be too easy. Evaluation was easy in the beginning, then it was 5 criteria, now it's only 3 criteria. This is an issue for Sweden because a lot of times in our Swedish representatives in the decision forums usually don't speak. So if we end up in the same position with the same, if there are 2 proposals which are suggested to have funding, and one is led by us and have the Swedish support from Brussels, they usually don't say anything. So then we lose against another consortia due to that. So for us in Sweden, it's we would like to have more evaluation points. The administration earlier was very hard. You had to do everything by yourself. Now it's quite easy. So they support quite a lot and EU evolves. So I just want to make you look into FP7 here and the red arrow. I added it here because around FP6 and FP7, the research institutes and academia had decreased their success rate in applications severely compared to the earlier ones. And that is mainly due to, of course, it's hard competition, but also that they maybe didn't have the possibility to really get impact in or have the full value chain and so forth. But if you know this, it's very easy to adjust for that in your coming calls. So looking into Horizon Europe, I think you're in your head, in your mindset, you need to do your excellent research, but you shouldn't forget that Horizon Europe is there for competitiveness and sustainable growth and sustainable transition. You need to have that in your backbone and DNA when you think about designing your proposal or being a part of the proposal. Otherwise, you will have issues succeeding. And on that note, I saw that there were some staff from the Chalmers grants office. I'm very happy that I added this into the screen. For people at Chalmers, or you have fantastic grants office, which could support with non-excellence areas. So they could support with innovations, they could support with the financial support and administration. So that's a good start. They're very strong. All right. If I could make applause for you, Jacqueline and Marika, I would. Good. So what I would like to say is we just got some of our, for you who is new in this is how dull the different front pages look in the different applications. So the only thing that has changed since FP4 is we're now allowed to have pictures and colors. That's it. Before it's still Times New Roman, and you still, they look like this and has for the last 25 years. And looking at those slides here, those 7, 8 different applications, they together they will gather research funding for more than 400 million euros. So it's substantial, even if they look corny and look simple. Behind us is a golden gate for great research and innovations. All right, so I hope you will take your time and try to go in this direction. So has anything else changed? Yes, I just want to say, do we have any industry representatives here? Marlene, could you see in the chat if there are some industry representatives? Yes, let's say that there are some industry representatives here. So good, what EU tries to do is that they try to make everything better and more efficient, reach and go from great research into utilize the results. So what you can see here, I would like to just present that. You can say that Horizon projects are in the excellent research in proof of concept and piloting. Then EU has built new instruments for full-scale demonstrations, and they have connected that with investment in loans. So this is sort of new. This has just happened in the last 2 years. So this chain is now more and more solid. From the beginning, they were separate. So now it's easier to navigate. If you're in the ambition to scale some of the great research, there's funding for that. If you need to scale up and deploy, there will be investments for that. So that's good news. Okay. All right. So everybody's still there yet? Great. Marlene, has anybody dropped off yet, or we're still 100%?
We are 65 participants, so still here.
Still here. That's great. Okay. So let's look into the new structure of Horizon Europe. So I would say that, all right, it's a new structure. Then I misspelled that word, but it's a little bit of hassle. 2 words misspelled. But from the EU side, it's well thought through. It's a good structure. They try to get that together. And I will walk you through this. So now we're entering the world of Horizon Europe. Okay. So in Horizon Europe, they're extremely proud, and we should also be. They're close to 100 billion euros in research investments. So, and they're very proud because this is the largest research program in the world. So that's what they say anyway. And it's divided in, you can say, 3 different pillars. One is excellent science, which I think some of you know. I know that Casper has have grants here. He has grants from the European Research Council. So that's in excellent. It could be blue sky science. It could, I mean, really good research here. Then on the other side, we have pillar number 3, which is innovation. We will go back to pillar number 2 because that's where we'll stay today. Pillar number 3, if you go from excellent science to research and innovation to innovation, you can find here, there's a lot of instruments for supporting going from piloting to market, you can say. Here you can find a lot of interesting new instruments for SMEs. You can find a lot of, if you ever heard about Innovation Kick, Climate Kick, and those special programs, so they are here now. Yeah? So here, and they're about 25% of the total budget. But what we talk about today is the 50% of the budget, which is in the clusters. And the clusters are what you saw before is the regular work programs. If you ever been writing a call, answering a call or proposal, there are would earlier been in this one. Earlier they were called thematic areas. Now they are in clusters. And there are 6 clusters: health, culture, civil security and society, digital industry and space. Why I added 15 billion euros here is because this area has a lot of AI and quantum computing. Then you have climate, energy, and mobility. This area is also a very large area with 15 billion euros in support. They also have a lot of AI calls and instruments. Then, of course, in food and bioeconomy, it's a 10 billion area cluster. They also have a lot of AI in the work program. So the benefit for you is that AI is horizontal. So you will have AI in all the different clusters. We will look into that later on. So today we will focus on pillar number 2 mainly, and that's where we'll look into the calls. Okay. Any questions, by the way? No? Malin, if it's any question, just jump in. If some of
Yes.
All right. We will leave the excellent science. If you have any questions later on, Casper can talk about that, but this here where you get research grants in the earlier TRLs. Some of you I know has been in Marie Curie actions, and some of you are coordinators in the European Research Councils for grants. All right. So now I'm getting into pillar number 2, where 50% of the budget of Horizon Europe is. And we talked about the clusters, and the new words is under each cluster, they have several destinations, like it's a journey. You have the cluster, and within your cluster, you have the different destinations. And under each destination, you have different calls. So it's not much harder than that, all right? So we took out one here. This is, we just take number 5, climate, energy, and mobility. So here you can say this is cluster number 5. And in this one, you can say, right, we aim to be climate neutral. We will have zero pollution, and we would like to be a global leader. So that's the aim of the whole program. Within this area, now in cluster 5, you have the traveling destinations. They have 6 different destinations where you can find AI projects in each different destination. So under cluster 5, in destination number 3, for instance, which is sustainable, secure, competitive energy supply, you can find calls, which is which has AI calls within or have AI integrated into them. So this is the new terminology, which could be new for some of you, and for the one who's coordinator, this is probably very clear. So they change the thematic areas to clusters, destinations, and then you get into the calls. Since you will have this PowerPoint later on, for making it easy for you, we presented the different clusters in different 6 clusters and the different destinations in all of them. And we now looked into cluster 5. This is the one you saw. The one who is as relevant for you is cluster number 4, which also have 6 destinations. One is climate neutral, circular and digitized production. One is increased autonomy in key strategic value chains for a resilient industry. Then we should be world leading in computing technologies and so forth. So it's a very interesting area. Okay, so now think that you are in cluster 4 now. So this is what kind of instruments do they use when they create the different work programs, the different calls? So now we in cluster 4 and all of the clusters, you have the different destinations, and connected to those clusters, we have a new dimension. And the new dimension is that you have something called missions. We will not spend much time on missions. They're about 5% of the budget. There are 6 missions, I think, in Horizon Europe. We will talk shortly about them later on. You have the pure work programs, and then you have the partnerships. So the partnerships has been around since decades back, but now they try to integrate them. So what will happen with the partnerships? So both the missions will make out calls which are related to missions, and they will add them in the work program. The partnerships will develop calls which are aligned with the call objectives, with the aim of the partnerships objective, and present them in the work program. So it will be so much easier for you this time, because you will just be in the work program. You will look into the calls in the work program and you find them there. Okay, let's make a present. Let's have a look at that. So what would it look like? So here we have the work program. We'll look into a destination, and then you have the call area. You can see here, it's not harder than this. You look into the destination, and here you have, all right, this is the call I will look into. You click on the call and you find the topics just as before. And in the call, you will find nearly like in Horizon 2020, you will find scope, you will find expected impacts and so forth. They are more detailed also in the specific conditions regarding the call than earlier. I think they are clearer. However, there's a major change compared to earlier ones, which is also in the relation with the Horizon Europe. I want you to have a look at this expected outcome here. So we drilled down through the cluster, through the destinations, into the call area, which is relevant for you. You find a call, and then you look into what the call sort of includes. And what you will see here is that I have reordered expected outcome and scope. Before, scope was on top, and then expected outcomes was in the bottom. This has changed now because the outcome is prioritized. You need to be able to present that you can reach this is the way I would like to say. They want you to not forget about the expected outcomes. They want you to prioritize to reach the expected outcomes of the project. Of course, there need to be excellence, research and science there. You need to have great innovation. You probably need to support policy development and regulatory development. But still, they want you to keep this as focus. So if you start looking into a proposal, Just keep this in mind. If you have this in mind, you're much better situated than a lot of your competitors. Okay. All right, I'll just take a quick tour into the different, what a mission is. Oh, I'm starting with the partnerships. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the partnerships are different partnerships. Before they could be within digitalization, they could be within shipping. Yeah, they could be in every area. I think today there are about 40 to 50 different partnerships, and they are there, and some of them are quite relevant for you. So I would just look into the different partnerships. There are candidates, but the partnerships in cluster 4, which I think could be a relevance for you. I think we cannot cover this today in those 2 hours, but please, I have a link down here. Use this link and look into the partnerships which are of relevance for you. For instance, the European partnership on artificial intelligence, data, and robotics could probably be quite relevant for some of you. High performance computing, smart network and services, key digital technologies, and so forth. There are some partnerships here. So my suggestion for you is just take 5-10 minutes and read about them. See if you should be part of this, and just be sure to get the information from them, and you're quite well set. It's a good start. Some of you who are been coordinating quite a lot and have the idea to take a position and lead an area, you definitely need to be part as a member in some of those partnerships, in the relevant partnerships. I would just leave you with a slide here regarding the missions, which is the other 5%. So the missions are, they see it as a NASA project. I mean, let's go to the moon. That's what a mission is. So here, EU has 5 different missions: adaptation to climate change, cancer, healthy oceans and seas, climate neutral and smart cities, and then you have it within food. So you can see, looking into Horizon Europe 3-4 years ago, you would say that the mission was the main thing which they talked a lot about. It doesn't really influence doesn't really have the same impact as it was foreseen. That's from my own personal view. But mission calls you can still find in your call text, and then you will see it's a mission call. And they will be connected to one of those 5 areas. But I'll just leave this here so you have it in, you know that you have it in your this presentation anyway. All right. Okay. Your issue again is there are so many calls which are relevant for you. Now we presented that you have calls within all of the clusters. Marina will later on present that they could also be found in all different destinations, but it's not enough. You have even more. So there are actually even more digital and AI related European actions. And in this slide, please look at this link down here later on, because here you can find to Digital Europe. And Digital Europe is another program which is, of course, of relevance for you. This is not that seen. Maybe a lot of you have already seen it, of course, but it's not that visible in the regular clusters. But this is another proposed 7.5 billion of funding in the next years within supercomputing, within artificial intelligence, within cybersecurity, within advanced digital skills, and so forth. So this is an area where I think you should look into. I'm not sure what the calls will look like, but they will not be as competitive as within the clusters, I guess, because this isn't as seen as others. You have this in the slide deck. We'll leave this for now, but you have it there. Okay. Okay. So before we get into let's see what the time is. Oh, yes, I'm running 5 minutes late. Okay. So I just need you, for you who are still here, for the 66 of you which are here, we need to make a cluster, one more poll. And the poll should be around what cluster you think are most interesting, because then my colleague Amarina can prepare some calls for the next session. So now I will end this and my slideshow here, and then we go to the poll. And I want you to write which cluster you think of is of most importance. All right, so you bring up your cell phones, and then I'll get to the second poll for today. And the last one, even if you think this is fun and great, this is the last one, so make the most of it. So here, please use this QR code or use Slido and this hashtag and explain what cluster which is the most important for you. AI, great.
So
We have a question from Simon Olsson.
Yep.
He wanted to show the cluster name again.
Yeah, sure. Valuable point. All right. Sorry for that. That's very. We're up here. So health, culture, civil security and society, AI, digital industry and space, climate, energy and mobility, food area. So please, all right, health, great. AI, yeah, it looks like that. I thought that could be of interest. So cluster 5. So cluster 4 and cluster 5. Great. Health is good. Okay. Climate, digital. All right. I'll take a screenshot of this one. All right, one more, and then I think we're. Thank you. All right, I'm back to this poll. Thank you very much. I hope this worked. I hope this was a way, okay way for you to interactively work with us. Okay, before letting, thank you very much for this. For you, Amarina, please prepare a call within cluster 4. That's, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right. So now I need to go back. So. All right. There we are. So 4 levels of engagement. So now it's for, if you're industry, there are some ways of engaging. If you're research, is some way of engaging. So I will run this in a couple of minutes, and Casper, you'll be on the floor in about 5 minutes, if that's okay. So important, you can say that each EU project is having about 100,000 projects. That's what they say in a way. I don't know if it's 60 or 140,000, but it's a massive project. And you can say that, with this said, you can say that there's a possibility, if you're industry, to use existing projects, find your solutions, which you're looking for in there, find state of the art, find best available technologies, expand your expert communities. So you can look in, there's a great database for this. You can look into that one, and you will find, in any area, you will find at least 20 to 30 projects that's been run, if it's not a really new emerging area. But if you look into neural nets or something like that, you will find hundreds of projects. If you look into a specific area where you use AI, you'll probably find some projects. So this is for a very cheap way of finding the sort of the state of the art quickly. It's a very cheap way of working. The observer is mainly also for industry. This is, if you, I mean, it's quite costly in time to engage in a EU project. If you know, if you know what you're looking for, you can say, all right, I would like to be I like to take part of your project. I can be an observer. I can be in the reference group. I can be a follower to your research. And for me as a coordinator, many times it's very positive when somebody engages in your project. It gives me as a coordinator points from European Commission, and I also have a way to sort of utilize the results. It's a very efficient way for industry to get hands-on solutions. You don't get any funding, but it's not much effort to being part of this. Now, if we go for today's people here, which is around the table, I think there are two areas: be a partner or be the owner. And with the owner, I mean you should be the coordinator. If it's owner of an area. To be a partner, you engage in a project. It's quite cost efficient. You don't spend that much cost compared to being a coordinator. Not that much resources is put in. I would say that you put in 40 to 120 hours relative your percentage of the EU funding in the project. So if you're a core partner, you get more percent of the EC funding, but you still also need to put in some additional work into the proposal. You should know that any partner engagement is at least 4 years of your professional life. So that it's substantial. You should know that you cannot run infinity of projects in your professional career. So when you select and engage, make sure it's of strategic value for you. Of course, you get funding in this one. If you enter into the second area, it's as a owner, the coordinator. This is if you like to have a prominent position, if you have one, or if you like to take a position, then you are the coordinator, because the European Commission only talk to the coordinator. The engagement is higher. Of course, you get more funding, but the effort compared to being a partner is about 4 to 5 times higher. The main thing is, of course, as I said, you're on the speaking terms with the European Commission. You have a relation with the sponsor. You have the possibility to maybe affect calls, to have a dialogue with them and so forth. This is what we do in some projects, and it's very efficient. So I would say that those two areas are relevant for Chalmers or universities or academics or institutes, while the others are tools which are relevant to all industrial chair members. And I think the way we work this is that we alter it depending on what strategy we have, what research focus do we have. If we would like to lead an area, we actually go as a coordinator, and then maybe there are some areas close in the proximity, then we try to engage as partner in those. So we try to balance. So we always have an engagement, alternate engagement-based strategy based on our research and innovation strategy. Okay. And now we know there are some people here which maybe are not professors like Casper, maybe they are early in their research career. And then Kolbjörn asked me, level of engagement versus level of scientific excellence. So I think this is of importance. You should not be intimidated in being a partner or be engaged in the EU project, even if you're early in your research career or if you're an expert at the industry. You should use, you are your surroundings. So if you are in a strong department, you can use those CVs. You can use the company's value chain and so forth. So don't be intimidated by that you are not a professor, or if you're not your research director at your industry. I think the more, I would say that all the time, effort outweighs title. So you need to understand it's an effort to get into those projects. You need to be headstrong for a while, and that will a strong title will not get you all the way to the finishing line. Stamina is a must. You will work hard for a while. It's a lot of fun, but still, I want you to understand that. So, on that note, I would like to present what kind of share support could give to the Chalmers researchers. So what Share could support the researchers and members or partners is that try to support them in the way forward is that there's a possibility to find calls which are relevant to your research and innovation strategy. We will also, and this is from our side, if you call us and Share is okay with this, we will help you find the relevant calls, and we will help you look into if you should be a partner or work package lead, or if it's a coordination level action. It sort of depends where you are in your how well the size of your research aligns with the call. This could also probably be helped by the grants office. Then, of course, if you would like to become a partner and not be the coordinator, and if you are novel into this, we can help you find the right calls. And then you have the detective work is to find the leading consortia who are expected to win the call. I mean, that's a track record in FP4, FP5, FP6, and you will find out that there is usually just a couple of or some consortia core groups that usually wins a lot of the different calls. So in that case, we help you find the consortia, and then we support with a sales pitch, and then we introduce you to this consortia to see if you can be part of this. And of course, the highest level of support is if you would like to coordinate. In this way, we can go all the way to take on the hat as the coordinator proposal. Then we help you build a competitive Horizon Europe proposal. We help you with strategy and design. We help you adding partners, relevant partners to the project. We help you with budget negotiations. We've done this for areas in Chalmers, areas of advanced energy, and we won 7 out of 7. No, 6 out of 7 up until now for Chalmers. So it's an efficient way of getting forward. Okay. Casper, I'm sorry. Are you there?
Hello, I'm here. Maybe you can broadcast me, and I will do my presentation. Maybe you can stop sharing.
Yeah. There you are.
So, hello everyone. My name is Casper Poulsen. I'm a professor in applied chemistry here at Chalmers, and I can in the next 10 minutes or so present a little bit my story related to this. So, I started my career about 10 years ago as a professor at Chalmers, as assistant professor back then. And in my early career, I got a lot of funding from different places in Sweden, like Wallenberg Foundation, Swedish Research Council, and others. But then after I used this funding in my research and discovering new energy-related materials, so it's a very work-intensive type of work. So often the people who succeed there have quite substantial funding, and I also got quite good funding. So I was able to create probably what many people will agree, the leading group in the world in my narrow research field. But then about 4 years ago, until then, everything had been mostly these excellent science calls from Swedish Research Council, Wallenberg Foundation, European Research Council, Starting Grant. Then somehow, for some reason that I still don't fully understand, I didn't get the funding I hoped for, and I was sitting there with very successful research, but no one wanted to fund it. And then I had to come up with a new strategy. I realized that. So luckily I got information about possible support from Energy of Advance to engage with Magnus and co-workers about how to optimize my funding strategy. Because until then, I think I was working with, say, from proposal to proposal, sending in many proposals each year. And in some years it was good. It was maybe 60-70% funding rate. But then I got into a period where suddenly there was a 0% funding rate for some years. And in Sweden, where we have this super liberal system where if you have no funding, you cannot do research, it was getting quite stressful. So I got engaged with Magnus, and they helped me analyze my funding needs and make a strategy for how to approach this. And I would say that this has brought a lot of good things. First of all, of course, we managed to get some funding, but that's not all of it. I think so let me tell you how we got there. So first, they helped me navigate through the very big funding systems, trying to identify calls that match my technology and technology readiness level, and also coached me in choosing the right collaborators, who to bring in, who not to bring in, making sure that the consortium didn't get too big, making sure that it was balanced between different countries and so on. And then they helped me also with finding funding to pay them. That was great, but also to write and structure this application. So although maybe it's easier today, it still is. I don't remember how many pages, maybe 35 pages proposal plus some appendix and so on. So it's still a lot of work to write it, and it has to be written well, because you want to get funded. You don't want to write the proposal that is not funded. So at the end of the day, I would say that they really helped me with all this. Also the communication with the other partners, making sure who contributed with what, making sure that the proposal was well shaped. And we got the funding in the first try. So it was very time efficient in that way, that now we have 4.3 million euro that we can focus on my project. But I think it's more value than the money, because in this project, I also have all my ideal dream partners in Europe. They are working for my ideas. So now as a coordinator, it's not about the money. Okay, I get maybe 10 million kroner for my project, for my research group, but I get 36 million kroner that I can give to others to support in my goals. And that is a game changer in how I can do research in the future, because now we just started half a year ago, but eventually this will lead to another level of excellence and a faster move towards the goals. So that, I think, is maybe one of the more valuable things coming out of this. Another thing that I learned was that I got a coach or a colleague or someone who really helped me optimize my arguing in my proposal writing. So until I met Magnus and co-workers, then I had mostly been working alone and writing my good applications. And of course, many of them got funded. But now I got someone else who had a lot of experience sort of refining my way of writing, or refining my way of delivering the message. So in addition to the funding that we got together with Magnus, I have got all my proposals funded since then. So I would say that in addition to the 4 million euro I secured there, I got another 4 to 5 million euros for my research group from other sources in the 6 months after that. And I think without giving all the credit to Magnus, I could maybe should take some of it myself.
Yeah, please.
But I would say that this was, I mean, winning proposals or getting successful in this is often the small details that counts, because you're competing against very good, very smart people, and the last 5 to 10% is what makes the difference between getting funded and not getting funded. So I think this help or support here made it possible for me to gain that last 5 to 10%, not only in the specific project, but also in the general project. So in general, applying for funding situation. So my funding situations has gone from a little bit of panic to being very well funded now, with the ERC Consolidator Grant, VR Consolidator Grant, money from Energy Agency, and of course the Horizon project. So this is a complete game changer compared to how it looked 12 to 18 months ago. So I would really recommend to think about this, not only for the funding, because you are in a very fancy research field. There's a lot of AI funding from different places. I just saw that SSF is coming out with a new 200 million krona call for Sweden. so you can get funding from many different places, but the added value of the EU funding is that you can build consortium beyond Sweden. You can choose your people to work with, and that I think gives you an edge research-wise in the long term, and it gives you a different type of positioning as a researcher at Chalmers in relation to Europe. So I think that is worth considering when you're doing the extra effort of writing these grants. And was it a lot of time? Okay, it was probably a lot of time, but it was not undoable. It was possible because it was organized in a very time-efficient way, and I got help on the way. And some parts Magnus wrote, some parts I wrote. It was, of course, based on my ideas, but it was more packaged and organized with Magnus' help. And then in the end, we got a very competitive proposal that got funded in the first round. So that it was all in all a very positive experience, and I would be happy to do it again. Right now, I'm a little bit afraid of accepting more money because that is not a question right now. But in 2 to 3 years, I will be looking for that again, of course. And then another thing that I also learned is that right now there's a deadline on 19th of May for some of the EIC proposals. And I got in the last week, I got like 2 or 3 different consortia who wanted me to get onto it 2 weeks before the deadline. This is not how you win your proposals. I mean, you need to start before that. So I think we started, now I don't remember the deadline, but we started at least 4 or 5 months before, maybe even earlier than that, by selecting the team members, cutting out the proposal outline, structuring it, and then it doesn't get this panic thing. I think we were finished 2 weeks before the deadline. Then we had everything was done. It was just about polishing. And this is how you should work. This panic thing where people work like nothing, and then panic the last 2 weeks, that doesn't really work if you want to do the winning proposal. You have to start now and build the strongest consortium, find the best playmates, and then make it very good. Then you don't have to run after the others with failed proposals. So I think that is really, really important take-home message. I mean, you can probably not outsmart the others, but you can outplan them. I mean, there are other smart people out there, and you're competing against them. But you can maybe plan better than them, or structure your work better, or maybe get someone to help you refine your proposals and build the proposals a little bit better. That is probably what you can aspire to get. And so that is maybe my take-home message. And if there's any questions, I think there's enough time for me to answer it also. I don't know if you have, so please go ahead and ask me if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Kasper. There was Malin, do you see if there are any questions? I just want to say, Kasper, it's important now, even if you're a professor, it's important. I think it was good that you said you also need some stamina. So your title doesn't make it all. You actually need, there are some hours that need to be spent.
Yeah, but that's I mean, that's how it is with many things. And when now I can tell you a little secret about myself. When I was going to primary school, I thought I didn't have to do homework because I was smart enough. I could just answer anything. But then when I went to university, I found out quite fast that that it's not enough. You need to work a little bit. And this is the same here. If you want your research funded, it's not about only to have the best ideas. It's also about presenting your ideas in the best possible way. I mean, it costs a little bit of hours. You are up against very smart people, and you have to invest some time in it, and you have to plan ahead. That is a little very low-level life lesson from me.
All right. Kasper, thank you very much for taking your time. And I think it's more important that you speak about your experience than me as a consultant talk about it. So thank you very much for being the peer that sort of present for your colleagues out here in the cyber.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions to Casper before we take a short break? No, you cannot have his proposals. They are secured. No. No, nobody asked. It's very hard making a joke over Zoom. All right, we need to try that next time.
It's just practice of laughing about your own jokes, Magnus.
Yeah, I'm very good at that. All right, Casper, thank you very much for your time. And we will now enter just a short break of 5 minutes. We will need to prepare the next session in line with your request for what kind of calls that are interesting. So with this, please bring some coffee, drink some water, and see you in 5 minutes here. Thank you very much. Malin, stoppar du inspelningen lite kort då? Eller Malin kanske gick. No. Ingrid.
Hva bruker man å gjøre? To jump up and down a bit?
I think the rocket. I cannot fit the rocket here because then I will fall into the wardrobe of my wife. Simon, you had some good questions before. Simon, do you have any good way of starting up a new after a short break?
If I have any good questions. So after break, I guess it's just get going, right? And
let's get going. All right, that's a good start. I think we take your cue on that one. All right. I think we are about 60 here now, Kurbjörn, so maybe we should just start.
Yes, please go ahead. Session 2, Magnus.
Yeah. I will share screen. 1 second. And screen 2. Are you already recording, Malin? Good. All right. I hope you had some time for a coffee break or for there we are. Okay. So this is a kind of hard session. I mean, if we would be now, if you would meet me in FP5, frame program 5, 4 frame programs ago, this session will be super easy. Then there's only 3 calls, which included neural nets and multivariate data analysis. I mean, before machine learning. So then this session will be very easy. Now it's not that easy. We have about 70 different calls. So very good for you, harder for Amarin and me to present. All right, but we will have a go. So now what we will do for the next, let's see here now, for the next 20 minutes, we will try to help you present some relevant AI calls. And we will do it in the way that we will present some of the most obvious calls for each cluster, just 1, 2, 3, 4 for cluster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can just see them there. So you have them in the slide deck later on. But you should also know that this is not all of them. Those are the one having AI in the call text. I mean, so it's not wider than that. Quantum computing and other stuff like that, machine learning is not in here. So there is probably at least twice as many, which is of relevance. And after that, when we thank you for your cloud. When you helped me with a Slido before, we saw that the call we should look into is within the cluster 4. So we will have a look there. And please just raise any questions, because this way, this is a kind of challenging part of the presentation. But yeah, okay. We have a lot of experience, so if you just have any question, just please ask. All right. Okay. And so let's see. Let's start here. So just to recap, we will not be in excellent science now, pillar 1. We will not be innovative Europe. We will dig into the work programs, the calls within the different clusters, which we practiced on earlier. So here we have 6 of them. Okay. And Amarina, I think I will let you just present them in the different clusters, and we can just look into them shortly. And then I'll present the Excel you have done, and then we look into the example which we selected based on the cloud Slido. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll and Marlene, you please have a look in the chat if there are any questions.
Of course.
All right. So first cluster, Amarina,
Yeah.
it's yours.
So as Magnus told you before, the program is structured by different clusters, and under the clusters you have the destinations, and under the destinations you have the calls. So the first cluster you have health, and taking a deep dive into AI, you see that there are several calls, and this is just one to show an example. Staying healthy in a rapidly changing society. It's a 2-stage application. So there is a budget for 2022 that is released now. And yeah, and it's also important to know that this is like connected to AI, but you can also find like cross-cutting issues. So calls under programs that are related to different. So it's like how you write the proposal in the end that, yeah, it's kind of, it depends on how you want to angle the proposal to the competition. So this is just an example. So next slide. So you have some calls you can find in the presentation afterwards that you can take a deeper look into on your own. And these are under the health topics.
Yeah. So already here you have five calls, Amarina.
Yeah.
Which has I don't know. Does anybody think this is of interest? I know that there was a lot of you presenting health earlier. So please have a look. Let's have a look into the one of the not in the health one later on, but this one you can have a look. You can find them.
Yeah, and it's also important, like Casper mentioned, that it's very key that you prepare in good time to write a winning and successful proposal. You need to prepare. So we are really good and ahead of the time, because now is time for several of the calls are opening, and if it's not this year you want to apply, you can prepare for looking for a consortium for next year. And you will find in the topic that is structured like you see the text like Horizon, Health, and then 2021 is the year of the budget. And then you find the call topic, so to speak. So that's how you find yourself in the work program.
Yeah.
Next slide, please.
Now in culture.
Right? Yes. So the next cluster is culture, creativity, and inclusive society. And here you have also several destinations. And the first one is innovative research on democracy and governance. The call is about reshaping democracies. And also here you have the angle of artificial intelligence. So this is something that is really going, it's a hot topic in all the clusters.
Yeah. I just, Marina, Kolbjörn, do you have any of your researchers in this area? It sounds super interesting. Big data.
Yes. So maybe they can speak out there. There are some. Palle, you want to say something there?
Yeah.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I'm working with AI in art, with artistic creativity, and I just got a WASP HS grant in that area.
Congratulations.
So, and I've been working for 20 years with evolutionary computation in creative process. I'm a musician and composer at the basis. So this is very relevant for me. Maybe not, of course, the democracy parts are also relevant, but I come from the artistic creativity field.
Great. Yeah, that's also what my colleague Magnus is always saying, that you have to find your angle, and it's sometimes not the title per se, but you can always find an angle to maybe become a partner in a large consortium, or yeah, so there are opportunities here. So here you see,
Amarina, do not give away everything now.
no, but I'm trying to be nice here, so people can understand how to also receive this information. And it's a complicated process, but you can just, yeah, here you see the culture, creativity, and inclusive society. And there are some topics here that are maybe relevant for you as well. Yeah,
we take the next one.
Yeah, next one. Civil security for society. Here you have a destination where you see that, yeah, an example here. How you can better protect the EU and its citizens against crime and terrorism. Yes, and so this is just an example. So you can just move along to the next, because I want to get to cluster 4.
Yeah, but I just want to ask here also.
Yeah, we can ask the audience as well. If you have
Cool, Björn, do you have cybersecurity researchers?
Yes, I mean, we have people working on these issues. I don't know if there is someone here in the audience right now, but if they are, they can shout out.
Yeah, anyway, there are 3 of them already here.
Yeah.
So it's already now in a quick search. Okay, I do what you say, Amarina. Cluster 4 is.
Yes, so this is when we did the deep dive, this is like kind of the main cluster that you see a lot in. And so it's kind of even hard to narrow it down, but it depends on who it is and what consortium you're part of, or what type of partner you are. So here we find a lot within the digital industry and space, AI enhanced robotic systems for smart manufacturing, AI data and robotics for the Green Deal. And Green Deal is a program within, has been a program also within Horizon 2020. Yeah. AI data and robotics at work. And yeah, so you see there is like a lot of calls here.
Yeah, and it's really a lot of them, actually.
Yeah. And I haven't even taken the whole list here. It's just to show you the examples.
I hope that some of those looks are exciting for you, because just for me, by looking at them, I think this is a super exciting research areas. Okay, AI for human empowerment. That sounds great. Okay, but then, Amarina, we will have a dig into one of those calls, won't we?
Yes.
Which one is that?
Let's see, it's the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you just click on the next slide.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have here under destination 2, you have an example here with the world leading data and computing technologies. So you find the topic, which is cognitive cloud, AI-enabled computing continuum from cloud to edge. And it's a research and innovation action. And the budget for 2022 is 49 million. And approximately for each project, it's 4 to 6 million euros. And they expect to fund about 10 projects. So it's opening in November, and that's why this is a good time to prepare and find the partners if you want to go into this. You start at the technology readiness level of 2, so it's quite early research, and then expect you to be ready by TRL 5 by the end of the project.
And this is also in line with what Casper said earlier. I just want to say, this is a research and innovation action. So this is when it's RIA, it means research and innovation, and that's early stage. Then you have something called IA, it's innovation action, that's later in your TRL journey. And then I think they also will have CSA, it's a coordinated support action where you sort of cluster different friends in the community and you have a way of working together and or looking into a new area. So those are the 3 different type of actions you can find. I would say if you are those small budgets with 4 to 6 million euros, you should, I mean, for instance, here you should try to keep your partnership to a minimum. So maybe not more than 5 to 7 partners in our case like this. So you still have a good budget to work with. They are quite nice, and they are, here you can also see what Amarina said, they will fund up to 10 projects. The competition will be high, but there are 10 projects. Sometimes you just find 1 project, and then the competition is really hard. So this, yeah, very interesting. Amarina, should we run through this one?
Yes, next please.
Amarina, this is the call text. Now you will run into this one, won't you?
Yeah. So we go, this is just to present example how you can see the call text.
Yeah. So just to make clear for everybody, if you find this call text and you press on this one, I mean, if you are in the portal, we will not find you that present that now. But if you use the Excel sheet which Amarina has prepared, you can click on this what you call ID, and you end up in the call text.
Yes, and you can see, in the call text you see some different parts, and the first part is about where you list the specific conditions, and it's something that I already mentioned, that it's about 4 to 6 million. That is, for each project, and they are looking at a budget for the whole call for 49 million, and that's for 2022. So you see that on the next slide, you see.
I just want to say one more thing. This is one of the things we do with your research core teams all the time. If it says 4 to 6, we rarely go for 4 to 6. We're always nearly above that. So just read this. It's even if it says you should be between 4 and 6 million euros, if you have work which is relevant for 7 million euros, you present 7 million euros. Throughout the years, I think it's only a few percent who doesn't get funded due to budget issues that you present a budget, which is, it's rarely that it's not too high. It's more than it's not relevant. Maybe you present your work and your work is a 3 million euro work, but you would like to have 5, then it's not relevant. But for you to ask for 7 or 6.5 million to just reach expected impacts, that's fine. We do it all the time. I don't actually think we ever wrote a proposal which is within the span. It's always over. Yeah. Okay. Next one. So,
and so you have the expected outcome. And maybe, Magnus, you want to say something here?
Yeah, so this is super key. Now you have sort of got into the call text. So this is your call fish. Here it presents what they want you to do. This is EU's wish list. This is, they want you to do what's in here. They want you to present that you can actually do this kind of work. And do you remember the arrow I had earlier? It was a red arrow which says this has changed between Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. And this is one of the things. They have put expected outcome all the way on the top. So they want you as your researcher and research team to focus will you deliver the expected outcome in your project? Please build a team around that. Okay. Before they had scope and challenge, and then they have the expected outcome. So this is with them doing this, it's a way for you to understand that this is prioritized. This has a higher priority than earlier. That's because we are now, Europe and the globe need to do a sustainable transition. We need to go to a more sustainable living, and research will support in that. And this is why expected outcomes is important. So they would like action. They want really great research, but they also like to present how you will utilize the results and be relevant for them. Okay, so here you can see, so this is the way then. So first you have the expected outcome, and they are here, they present, and sometimes you can have 5 bullets, what they expect. Here they have 1, and then you read through what do they want and how do I answer for that? What team should I have to answer this one? So it's very clear. With that said, I would say it's not always super clear. Here it looks clear, but after, when you've done this for a long time, and I know that some of you been reviewing, maybe some of you has maybe written calls. So on our side, we write calls. We write calls within the energy area in cluster 5 and within the smart city area. Then we support writing calls. And the thing is, when you've written a call to explain everything, it's 5 pages. But there are so many calls, so EU tells you need to shorten it down to 2 pages or 1.5 page. And then of course you lose the details. So if you don't understand which is here, all the different words, or if it's unclear, then you contact, or then we contact, or then you contact the policy officer or the one responsible for the call to make it clear what they like to see. So when we work with Casper and all those, we spend quite a lot of time understanding the different words, because from the first view of it, it looks maybe clear, but when you look into it, you understand, this is maybe not that clear. I need to talk to them, and they like when you talk to them. Even if EU feels far away, they're not far away. Just talk to them. They are happy that I will tell you a secret. The owner of this call are nervous because they don't know if it will be populated or not. So they would like as many good applications as possible. So if you call them and they can help you sort of ask questions, so you make a better proposal, a more relevant proposal, they're happy. So they have an anxiety that they will not have calls, but usually it's oversubscribed maybe 5 to 6 times. Yep, that was short about that. And yeah, the last thing, this is the area where we usually try to win the proposal. When it's looked to expected outcome, we spend quite a lot of time, as Casper said, together with you, the researchers, to understand how could we really do this in a flesh and blood way. If they ask for support somewhere in policy development or in a technology, then we try to spend some time understanding how could we deliver this in and with flesh and blood. I mean that, so it's tangible, not only say I will visit 5 conferences and present this. I mean, you should know them by name and know where and how to do things. So this is a easy way to enhance your points in your evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay, Marina, sorry for talking that much.
No, it's like you said, the next slide is the scope, and earlier framework programs, you've seen that the scope were, it was positioned higher up. So now
Marina,
yes?
and Magnus, can I interrupt? There is a question here.
Yeah, great.
It says, does it help to contact the policy officer? Isn't it the evaluators that have the full say in the evaluation, and they will read the text in the work package?
No, we always talk to the policy officers to understand. I mean, it's a good question. It's a relevant question because a policy officer will not evaluate your proposal. External experts will evaluate your proposal. But understanding the content and the details of what's in the scope and what's in expected impact, it's very cost efficient. Try and maybe not talk to the policy officer, maybe talk to the project officer, the one owning this call. It's different. Policy officer owns sort of the whole program, maybe. So we do that quite a lot, and we use different ways. If we're known, we call them directly. If we're not known, we use usually our national contact points. So the Swedish representatives or the other representatives from the other countries which are part of the core team, we ask them to ask questions to the policy officer or the project. We make sure it's in the notes, so and also that Kolbjörn can distribute this to his all the researchers.
Okay, I will attach my presentation, which I gave about a week ago.
Yeah.
Which is precisely what is in this particular call, the cognitive AI from the cloud to the edge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there is any interest, I would like to communicate with the people. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Vasil, for contributing. That's great. So great option for everybody if you are in this field. Take the bait that Vasil feeded for you now. That's thank you, Vasil.
Thank you.
By the way, will you coordinate and do all the hard work while the Chalmers researchers could be just doing half of the work? No, it never works with the jokes. So sorry about that. I tried. I will stop the jokes.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to the last slide is about the scope, and the scope is of course important, but as Magnus said, you have the expected outcomes first, and then you have the scope, but you have to analyze each and every part of this text to understand what you are aiming for. Yeah, so that's it for me. But I want to finish by saying that you can find relevant calls, but it all depends on your research and innovation strategy and how you want to aim. Now I've just looked at AI, and AI is very broad, so you can probably find something relevant to your research area depending on your angle, so to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, thank you for making Marina making this part of the presentation understandable. Okay, do you see my screen now? No? Okay, so I will present some of the work Marina has done for you to prepare this, for this meeting. Now, when you've seen what Marina has presented, let me just present what she's been doing for you. So Kolbjörn and the share will make sure this is available for you. So could everybody see my screen? Check.
Yes.
Good. So here you have as we talked about all day, the destinations is in column D. Here Marina has find. No, sorry, we start with the clusters. Here are cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3, cluster 4, cluster 5, cluster 6. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So here you can find calls under the different destinations. Here you can find the call ID, and then Marina has all the draft final versions of all calls in Horizon Europe. So she has presented where to find that in that specific cluster. So she has written to you, you can find information about this one in page number 29 out 178. She has also presented your budget, the expected easy contribution, how many projects there will be, what kind of action it is, when the deadline is, if that could be presented. So you can, by yourself, when you have time, just have a look. What area was important for me? And then for the large areas like cluster 4, she has linked to the different documents. So then you can just press here and you follow the link directly to the call. So this one will be further developed, but already here is more than 40. Already by now, it's more than 40 different calls. So I don't know how many hundreds of millions it is in here, but there's a lot of them. Okay, so Kolbjörn, this will be available for everybody through the, I don't know, Malin and Kolbjörn, how this will be presented.
So what I can say just a few words that, I mean, this will be available for Chalmers researchers, and we will make that available through our webpage in some way. But right now it's not up on the webpage, but if you look at this through the week, you will find it there. We will also send out a message to everyone.
Yeah. So I just want to say, so before when you did your cloud work later on, Marina saw what you requested, and then she made this kind of slides while you had coffee and a drink. Okay, so Kolbjörn and everybody else, and any comments or any questions before we continue? Now we're entering the last part of the session. It's Kolbjörn, it's if we have any question on how to proceed and the next steps and the end of the meeting. But please, I know it's been a lot of heavy information. It's new for a lot of you, Horizon Europe, but please take some time. And if you have any questions, please just ask them. We've been in this area for so many years, so I think we can, and with the rest of there are some other great people here from Grant's office and some other coordinators here today. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask them. Malin, please, could you have your prepared questions?
No.
Just kidding. All right. No questions. No question. Everything is crystal clear.
But Magnus, I can also say that, I mean, of course, there's a lot of material to take in here, and there might be many questions coming up later when people have the sort of opportunity to digest this and to look at it when we have it up on our webpage. And then of course we welcome any questions also at any later stage. And Malin she has put in the webpage there, and you can email me or any other in the management group, of course. There are now some questions. So we'll start with Simon, and I see that Mareike has her hand up there. But yeah, from Simon Olsson. Maybe you can phrase your question yourself, Simon, so we get some other voices in here.
I was just wondering if there's a way of signing up to sort of automated calls sort of that are relevant to a certain set of keywords, rather than sort of going in and looking at through this endless list of acronyms. Is there a way to sort of set up email alerts? Is that something that is provided from the EU? I think that would be very helpful, because it's.
I think that maybe Mareike can
something that can be
answer that. Is that correct, Mareike? There is a sort of system at Chalmers for that.
I had a bit of difficulty to hear the question, whether it was about the ongoing projects in general in the former work, the former framework programs. Then I would actually advise you to check Cordis, which is the database by the European Union. If it is a matter of whether there's interesting projects that have been ongoing within Chalmers, just feel free to contact us at Grants Office. And that's giving me the ideal sort of heads up cliffhanger on what I just wanted to mention. I realize that the audience contains a lot of interested people in this field. But what I need to say is that, of course, all Chalmers researchers, please contact us as soon as possible when you know that you are planning to engage in a Horizon Europe project. We will be very glad to help and support you, have experience of doing so very successfully in collaboration also, of course, with Magnus when both of us are involved. And it is really for your own best benefit, and much look forward to make your proposal a success.
Yeah, totally couldn't agree more, Marike. And now I will, Simon, I will answer your question in a second because I heard it through the noise. But Marike, not only in Grants Office now do you do support, you also have the earlier innovation, Chalmers Innovation included. So you're also quite strong regarding innovation and that value chain, which is of course very important to European Horizon Europe core.
Indeed, that is very correct. We are now in one organization with both the external strategic collaborations, innovation advice and research advice. We also have the support from the financial side and the legal side.
It's very good. I would never, if I was a researcher, I would call you immediately. Yeah.
And particularly, I would like to alert that when Chalmers researchers are aiming for coordinating projects, we have the project management support, and it's the best thing to plan that as early as possible.
Couldn't agree more. So being proactive is much more successful and doesn't cost you as many late nights and Sundays. So that's, and of course the success rate is much higher. And now to Simon's question. Simon, I heard your question and you asked if you could use other keywords. I mean, if there's a service on EU's webpage where you can have keywords and sort of find calls from that. I think the best thing would be there is to call Amarina actually, because what she does, and maybe Marike too, is that we structure all the different calls in a big major document, and then it's searchable. All the clusters are searchable for different keywords. So that's one way of doing it. The other way, which I like, is actually think of what area am I in. So just by entering through a cluster and a destination is a good way of finding your way in. So you understand, yes, my research is within this destination or within this cluster, then it's kind of easy to follow. And a third thing, Simon, is that now when this EU Horizon Europe work program is launched, that's 2 years now from now on, in 2 years. So they will not change more. Now we're starting to work on the next work program, the second work program in Horizon Europe. That work has started. But otherwise, you sort of secure for the next 2 years regarding calls. Yep. I hope that was okay an answer.
Can I add something here? I think Chalmers has a research professional, a kind of service that has sort of keeps you updated on funding, and maybe someone from Grant Office can say something whether I'm right or not on that.
Indeed, it's very good that you alert the research professional opportunity. That is a database for research funding, crossing a lot of different research funders, and it also includes Horizon Europe calls.
Very good.
What might be a bit of a time matter, I didn't double check that, is that the calls that we are talking about today formally have not been published yet. So I haven't double checked whether we can see the calls that Magnus have been mentioning already in Research Professional. However, if you want to see the call texts and you do not find them yourself, also just don't hesitate to contact us at Grants Office because we've got access to all the latest call texts.
Yeah, And that's a very good suggestion too. Please read them in advance.
Mhm.
That makes you in a good position. I tell you a short story regarding that. We always create all our core teams. When we coordinate, we have taken the partners we want far ahead the launch of the calls, because we don't want to compete. So if we think that there are some great industrial partners in an area, if there are some great other excellence researchers, we take them as early as possible. So our core team is the strongest already in advance. So when the others see and read the call text, when it's official, we have already snatched the core partners which we think are the most excellent and most relevant for our call. This is something which is Casper is doing also. So Casper has already been talking to different partners for Horizon Europe since November for 2 different calls. So please just spend, if you're interested, just take the time now, as Marike said, and do the hours, look into and do the hours now instead of doing the same hours in 4 or 5 weeks when everybody else is doing the work. Okay. Kolbjörn, let's see, should I think we are now in the discussion regarding opportunities presented in AI calls. Marike has said a lot of great things regarding your fantastic grant office. And other partners, we are now on the how to proceed and next steps, Kolbjörn.
Yes. So I think, I mean, we have 4 minutes left here, so I'm not going to take too much time here. First, I want to sort of just emphasize that we are in Chalmers AI Research Centre very, very interested in supporting researchers that want to go this way, and we encourage that you do so. As we have heard here today, this is not only about getting funding, it's also about building collaborations, collaborations that will be with you for quite a long time. Choosing who you want to sort of play with with regards to your research, and also help your ideas spread out and have others working on your ideas in collaborations. So I think it's that's really an sort of encouragement from our side to use this as an opportunity, and then please contact us, grants office, and IMCG. So what we will do in particular with regards to follow up here is that we will update our website to contain this information and how you can step forward. We will also try to send out some follow up to you with the links to that information, so you have direct access to that. And I think that's sort of, I mean, the main messages in going forward here. And please don't hesitate to contact us on any matters of this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if, I mean, maybe was that clear enough about the steps forward? So if we have any final questions, I could take them now.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are not, I will round off by saying a big thank you to everyone involved. Magnus, Samarina, and Malin here from IMCG, from the participants in the grant office that contributed to the discussion. Also, I would like to say a great thank you to Casper, who sort of gave some insight into how this looks from a researcher perspective, which gave even more meaning to the webinar. And also a great thank you to all the participants who spent 2 hours here today, and I really hope to hear from many of you in the future. So with that, I round off and wish you all a pleasant afternoon with a lot of things to think about.